Hey there, my name is Terri Cole, and I'm a licensed psychotherapist and the author of Boundary Boss. And if you want to build an abundant and meaningful life you are proud of, you should be listening to My Voice, Our Story with my good friend, Cielo.
Do you want to create an abundant and meaningful life you're proud of, but don't know where to start? You're in the right place. Welcome to the My Voice, Our Story podcast. My name is Cielo. I'm a former TV journalist turned entrepreneur in a quest to build an extraordinary life. I believe that success is a direct reflection of our daily routine and choices. So join me as I engage in unfiltered conversations with the most influential minds of our generation to learn their secrets to a thriving life. If you want tangible tips on how to cultivate habits that will transform your life spiritually, financially, and emotionally, you got to keep listening in. So let's get started. Hi guys, this is your girl Cielo. Welcome back to the show. Are you struggling setting boundaries in your life or letting go of toxic relationships? If you are, then you're gonna love this episode. Today I'm speaking to the one and only Terri Cole. Terri is a famous licensed psychotherapist, global relationship and empowerment expert, and the author of Boundary Boss, the essential guide to talk true, be seen, and finally live free. For over 2 decades, she has worked with a diverse group of clients that includes everyone from stay-at-home moms to celebrities and Fortune 500 CEOs. Terri has been featured as an expert therapist and master life coach on A&E's Monster-in-Laws, TEDx, The Lisa Oz Show, Real Housewives, and had a weekly radio show on the Hay House Radio. Plus, she's a regular contributor to many publications. You are going to learn so much from her today, so make sure to stay tuned for the whole conversation. But before we begin, really quickly, if you're an entrepreneur with a 6-figure business or more and you want to increase your digital presence to take your business to the next level, we are here to help you. BluntTW, the media company that produces My Voice, Your Story, provides SEO, content strategy services that can help you improve your rankings in Google within 6 months. We also offer other marketing opportunities such as sponsored content through the BluntTW publication, which reaches more than 500,000 people per month. So if you want to skyrocket your sales or increase your brand awareness, head to bluntTW.media and fill out our contact form for a free consultation today. You can also send us an email directly to team@bluntTW.com. Space is very limited, so book your consultation now. Back to the show now. Let's begin. Hi guys! Welcome back to a new episode of My Voice, Your Story Talks. Hello there. I'm excited about the episode today because we have a wonderful guest. Hi, Terri.
Well, hi, Cielo.
Welcome to the My Voice Story Talks. Are you excited?
I'm pumped. Ready to go. Let's talk about boundaries. We all need them.
Yes, let's talk about boundaries. I think we're going to learn a lot from you today. But before we get into that, I want to know a little bit about your background. I mean, you're a very famous global relationship and empowerment expert. How long have you been doing this?
Well, I've been a psychotherapist for 25 years.
Okay.
So I've sort of been in the trenches with my clients for that long. I've been doing more of a public life, I'd say, for the last 10 years, having a podcast. And I really got into the virtual course scene about 6 years ago because I really wanted to reach more people. And, doing a one-on-one practice, which I don't really do anymore because I teach courses. I wanted to reach people all over the world, and I couldn't do that. Even though I had a very robust private practice for decades, this is really my dharma or my purpose in life, is to really reach as many people as possible who probably couldn't afford me as a therapist or who don't have access to good therapy and mental wellness. And that's really my trip, is wanting to make it affordable and free for as many people as possible.
Do you have a practice in New York?
I actually don't. I have a few high profile corporations and individuals that I work with because I was a talent agent before I became a
Oh,
psychotherapist.
okay.
So I'm also an expert at like what happens to you or what can happen to you from becoming famous, because psychologically a lot of not great things can happen. But what is so interesting, Cielo, is that the advent of social media and just regular people being able to sort of become famous, I'm seeing the same mental health problems happening with regular people just because of
Mm,
social media and people becoming famous on TikTok and YouTube and those types of things. So it's really interesting where that used to be reserved for people who were famous pop singers,
yeah.
movie stars, and now anyone can have this experience.
Yeah, absolutely. Social media has created like this new wave of influencers and very famous people that have, I think, a lot of influence on specifically young people. I would have to say so. Um, awesome. So let's talk about relationships. Before we even get to talk about boundaries, I wanted to talk about awareness because sometimes when you look at your life and the good things and also the bad things, you don't really realize what's triggering that maybe toxic relationship that you have with money or with someone in your life. So, what would you say, or what would we have to do to become aware of things in our life that are creating a toxic relationship?
Well, part of it, the way that I teach it in the book and the way that I teach it in my courses, is that we all have these downloaded blueprints. So
Mm,
imagine that they're in your unconscious mind. We learn from the family we grew up in, country, culture, and our own personality influences as well. But you have a downloaded boundary blueprint, which tells you the way the world is supposed to be, the way relationships are supposed to be. And so the first thing I think we have to do is become aware that just because we learn certain things growing up or from our family of origin, and that's the way it seems like they are, really, that's just the way they were in our family of origin, and they don't have to be that way. So if you came from a
mm,
family and there was a toxic relationship or there was abuse or there was addiction, that doesn't mean that you need to create a life with those things. So
mhm.
awareness is really the first step in transforming anything, is being aware of why you think that relationships have to be painful, or a partner should be controlling and that means that they love you. It's not true, obviously, but it's also we have to question what we learned and then decide, how do we want it to be?
Hmm. And in your opinion, what is the first step to take to have that sort of awakening where you become aware of the toxic and negative patterns in your life that are making you
Mhm.
very unhappy?
Well, the first step is to look at your relationships.
Mm.
And I always instruct students and clients to take a resentment inventory.
Oh, wow.
So it's like looking at, who are you pissed off at right now? Who do you feel unseen by or taken advantage of? Or who are you angry with? Because I promise you, those are probably boundary issues right there. So you make a list of the people and the situations, like why are you annoyed or hurt or whatever the
Hmm.
thing is. And that will give you a place to start to go, okay, so in my life right now, I'm mad at my sister because of this. I'm mad at my partner because of this, or my parents because of this. And it's really taking a moment to really get curious about what is happening within you and what is happening within your relationships.
Mm. Wow. That is so powerful. I feel that that's the hard work because I feel a lot of the times when we have a toxic relationship, maybe to money, baby, to a person, it's so hard to accept. It's like you know that the toxic relationship exists, that that's the trigger, but it's like, how do I go and do something about it? So how do you start setting those boundaries there?
Well, you identify, okay, I'm angry with my partner. Then you write, then now we get into the granular,
Mm,
where you get really specific about, are there any repeated situations in your relationships that are triggering this frustration or this anger? So
mhm,
let's say you have a partner who is very jealous. and they go through your phone without your permission, or they think that you're flirting with people that you're not. You write this down, and then you have to make a decision. Are you going to, the next time they say, oh, I see you were flirting with the barista at friggin' Starbucks or whatever, you have to decide that instead of convincing them that you weren't doing that, talk about the actual problem, which is not that moment and not that barista and not that incident. It is the overarching experience of being with someone who is insecure and jealous and controlling and creating drama, and letting them know that you no longer want to interact this way, and that you want to have a real conversation. And again, if you're in a toxic relationship, I have to preface anytime I talk about toxic relationships, I have to preface all of it with saying, if you're in an abusive relationship, if confronting this person would put you in danger, then none of this is for you, because your safety is the most important thing. And I actually, Ciela, we can put this in the show notes. I have a really good video on YouTube that's free about how to safely leave an abusive relationship. So if you're listening and that's you, don't do anything, please, until you watch that video that has tons of resources to help you safely leave an abusive situation, because that's real, right? We don't want to provoke someone if they're violent to violence, obviously. But if it's more of a fighting all the time and a toxic dynamic as opposed to straight up abuse, I think it's okay to say, hey, I've noticed that we fight about jealousy a lot. And we have to get to the bottom of this, because I don't want to keep going like this. I'm not interested in doing this. These are the good things in the relationship. I love you. We have fun together. And this element, this jealousy piece, is absolutely threatening the relationship, because if we don't figure it out, there's no way we're going to make it, or whatever, So I think that it's important to whoever's listening, you have to be aware of your part in toxic dynamics, because it takes two to tango, and it's not about blame, right? It's just about what is the reality that, Cielo, if you're in a relationship right now, you are 50% of that relationship, and the other person is 50%, no matter who's doing what messed up thing. Do you know what I mean? Because sometimes our 50% is staying in a relationship that has outlived its purpose in our life. And it's scary to end those relationships. But you know what? It's also scary being in a relationship where the person doesn't even really know you, or that is damaging your self-esteem over and over and over.
Yeah, no, absolutely. That's so powerful. And when it comes to toxic relationship, it gets to a point, like you said, there's just nothing else that you can do. You really need to just let it go. But sometimes the problem, it's the person itself. It's like you're so attached to it that it's so hard for you, because it's like you now are in an unknown territory. And that can be a very scary place to be.
Yeah, especially if you've had many toxic relationships. A lot of times we call this trauma bonding, where you end up in a relationship, and even though you know it's terrible for you, you just can't imagine leaving. You are, as you said, you are so attached. There is something that is so powerful about those bonds sometimes. But here's the thing. It's your job to take care of your own mental wellness, right? It's your job. And it's not really about, like, you don't have to have money per se, because I know a lot of people listening to this are college kids and stuff. It's not about that, because there's so much free stuff. I have 400 videos free on my YouTube channel with lessons, with exercises that you can do with almost every single one of them. So really, it's about you getting curious enough about, how can I make my mental health better? How can I have better boundaries? How can I be more assertive and talk more truthfully in my life? it's my book itself is, the Boundary
Yeah.
Boss is a step-by-step guide to doing this, no matter where you're starting, no matter what you don't know. I literally wrote it, most in particular for women.
For women, okay.
Or humans who were raised as women, because we had a very specific experience. And I think women today, younger women, even though the experience is different than women of my generation, because I'm decades older than you, most of us were still raised to kind of be good girls, to be helpful, to be nice, kind of above all other virtues. Make sure that you're nice. And I gotta say, that's just bull. Like it's just, it sets us up to fail when it comes to being self-determined, empowered, self-directed. We need to have healthy boundaries to be able to talk about the way we feel and what we think, regardless of what other people think. Right. And when you know yourself, you realize it's okay. Like, some people won't like what I'm saying or doing. Not everyone is going to approve of me, but so many of us have the disease to please that it's easier to just say yes when you want to say no, and then be seething with anger, feel put upon, and put it outside of ourselves. Like, well, if Betty wasn't such an entitled idiot, then she wouldn't keep asking me to do shit that I have to say no to. But here's the thing. That's Betty's side of the street. Your side of the street is saying no if you don't want to do something. And you can do it with kindness and with love and with more heat when is necessary. But I think that healthy boundaries have a really bad rap, where people think if you have boundaries, you're a bitch, you're mean, you're rejecting, you're walking around saying no to everything, you're all negative. Like, it's not like that at all. And in fact, having healthy boundaries and being able to talk true, as I call it, this is the most profound gift that you can give to anyone in a relationship. Because, Ciela, when you say yes, when you want to say no, that's not really being nice. That's just avoiding conflict. Right? People don't even friggin' know you. When you continually do shit you don't want to do, and then are pissed off about it or talk shit about that person about it, the people who you want to be closest to literally do not even know who you are, because you're giving them corrupted data about who you are every day,
Yeah. That's so crazy. And how do we stop saying yes to everything? It's so hard.
Right. Well, let's start with, like, the beginning is that we just have to stop the insta yes, like the automated yes, the knee-jerk reaction yes. And how you do that is you buy time. So everybody listening, you're going to, for the next, let's say, 5 days, no matter what anyone asks you to do, you are not going to give an immediate answer, because most things do not require an instant yes. We just pressure ourselves and make ourselves feel like we have to. But unless it's an emergency or you're dealing with a minor child, probably the answer can wait. So you can say, oh, if someone invites you to do something that you know for sure you do not want to do, instead of just being like, no thanks, Betty, you can say, oh, thank you so much for thinking of me. I need to check my calendar. I'll get back to you in 2 days, or I'll get back to you tomorrow. I need to check with my partner. I need to check my work schedule. I'll let you know at the end of the week. So there's all phrases. And the way that I do it in the book is I have a whole chapter of scripts, because I think part of the biggest block for women in particular doing this is we don't have the words. We're like, I literally don't know what to say. But if you start buying time, so you get rid of the instant yes, and you buy time, it is so much easier to go back to someone and say, oh, hey, I can't make it on Wednesday. I hope you guys have a great time. You don't even have to tell people why you're not doing something. We always feel like we have to write like a dissertation on our no. You know what I mean? Like it has to be a good enough reason. How about you just don't effing want to? I feel like that actually is a good reason. Now, you don't have to tell people that,
Yeah.
but I want those of you listening, if you're watching this somewhere, to realize you have a right to protect your heart, your time, your emotions, yourself. And if you don't, who's going to, right? You are the one who has to do it. So I think that that's a good place to start, Cielo, is just not friggin' instantly saying yes. It's so much easier to say no. And you'd be shocked at how easy it is when I just call it buying time in the beginning, because this actually, you were right on with thinking, this is a great place to start because it actually is. We just buy time. But the biggest change is going to be between your ears. It's going to be a shift in your own perspective as to what you are, quote unquote, allowed to do. And this is the beginning of being empowered and self-determined. Listen, we come into this world alone and we go out alone. And that's a fact. Maybe depressing to some people. I think it's pretty liberating, but whatever. And we want to be in relationships. So in drawing boundaries or saying no, or just expressing your preferences, right? The way that I look at boundaries, it's not just about saying no. It's you as a human being knowing your preferences, your desires, your limits, and your deal breakers, like your non-negotiables in life. If you know them and you have the ability to transparently and clearly communicate them when you so choose, you are a boundary boss. You will be liberated from these limiting beliefs about what it means to be a good person in life.
So a lot of the times, the reason why people tend to say yes so much is because we feel that we're not good enough. Can you tell me, how can we overcome these feelings that we're not good enough for things or for relationships?
Well, partly we have to understand where it comes from, right? A lot of us, it has to do with having a mother wound or childhood experiences where we were treated not well, if we were treated like we weren't valuable in childhood, if the way that we felt didn't matter. Sometimes if you grew up in an addicted household, then the focus was on the parents, which is not the way it's supposed to be when you have kids, right? It's supposed to be on the children. But if you were the one taking care of your parents, or you were the one, doing stuff at a young age, that can impact worthiness. So understanding yourself is one thing, but starting to treat yourself and regard yourself the way that you do a best friend, the people that you love, a 5-year-old child that you adore. Because what I find with my therapy clients is a lot of times they have a really mean inner voice, a really just talking so badly to yourself. When you think about the things that you say to yourself when you make a mistake, then you think, would you ever say them in that same tone of voice to someone who you really loved?
Yeah. I don't think so.
Probably not. No, definitely not. So part of it is really shifting. And I have a quick exercise that people can do to help with their feelings of worthiness is get a picture of yourself as a baby, like under the age of 5, let's say, or 8, and put it on as your screensaver on your phone, your desktop, your laptop. And every time you see that cute little face that is you, you're going to beam love to that kid and remind yourself, like, I am that child. There is nothing that you could possibly have done in your childhood that would have you deserve bad treatment. Nothing, no matter what mistakes you made, no matter how you acted out as a teenager. These are all normal things that people do. Kids are supposed to make mistakes. We do make mistakes. So if your unworthiness comes from that, there's something that is really healing. When you see your own little adorable mug on your phone and just love that kid and realize that you're that same person and that, of course, you're worthy of being loved and treated with kindness and consideration, the same way that you think your best friend is worthy of that. or your favorite person in the world is worthy of that. Because really, when we get down to it, the relationship you have with yourself, you've got to figure out how to fall madly and deeply in love with you, because your relationship with you sets the bar for every other relationship in your life. So if you treat yourself like crap, you don't rest when you're tired, you talk badly about yourself to other people or just internally, you will inevitably attract people who agree with your low self-assessment. So the first order of business, if you want to have higher self-esteem, is to figure out your relationship with yourself.
Yeah. And that's usually the hardest relationship, but micro steps, right? That's really the key.
Exactly. Baby steps, because all transformation, I promise you, is from consistent, small, daily shifts. Consistent. So make sure you're taking good care of yourself. Make sure you're sleeping enough, moving your body, meditating, get into mindfulness practices, breathing practices. There's a million free apps. I love the app by Deepak Chopra. It's just called Breathe, and it's free on the App Store. It looks like a little gray ball. And if you know nothing about meditation, about anything, this app walks you through it. 5 minutes of breathing twice a day. I promise you, it will change your life. Trust me, I've been doing this for 25 years and it's free.
Make sure you get the app. Yeah, I'm going to get it now. In the world that we live in today, social media, it's everywhere. And I think now when we talk about relationships, we need to talk about the relationships that we cultivate on social media. And they can be so toxic. How do we set boundaries so we do not let those relationships or just social media overwhelm and take over our lives?
I mean, you have to have tech boundaries. You have to. You cannot be on your device all day long if you think you're going to have a healthy or successful life, because you're not. So first order of business, no phones when you're eating with people. No phones. Second order of business, if you're talking to someone and they got their face in their phone, stop talking. Stop talking to people who are scrolling Insta. Stop it. Because you deserve their attention, and don't do it to other people. If I'm talking to someone and they put their head down, I just stop talking. And they're like, oh, and I always say, oh, hey, if it's important, I can wait, because I can.
Yeah.
Maybe you got a babysitter at home. I don't know. Maybe you're doing something that actually can't wait. Probably not, but maybe. And if the person's like, no, I'm listening. I'm like, no, I actually need you to listen with your eyes and your ears, please. Like, put it down. Because it really dilutes our life experience. It's like living light, so to speak, because the memories you have, the impressions, the feelings, nothing is as intense as it really is, because half of your mind is looking at what Reese Witherspoon or someone else is doing on Instagram or whatever. So that's one thing, is do not have your phone in your bedroom. You just
That's
have
so
to
hard.
realize that it isn't. No, I don't care. Do it. Put it in another room. Put another room. Get an old style clock. I know it's hard to believe, young people, but there are actually clocks that tell time and have alarms. You can do it. So 2 things. And I think you should do a tech, a reset where it's like a cleanse. You know what I mean? Where you literally do a tech cleanse, where you take whole weekends where you're like, I'm not on my phone at all this weekend. Or I'm not on social media. Let's say you need your phone, because many people fine. But, really to answer the question though, Cielo, about how do we not let what is toxic about social media into our lives? First, let's identify what's toxic. Well, start with compare and despair, because we're comparing our daily normal lives to everyone else's highlight reel. So of course we're going to feel bad. We're like, oh my God, that person just had a baby. How are they back in their size 1 jeans? I don't get it. What's wrong with me? Nothing's wrong with you. There are people who make their living face tuning the shit out of what you see. Like, it's not real. It's just like, I used to be in television, like as an agent. People would talk about reality TV and I'd be like, hello, it's not actually real. Like, it's being contrived. And this is the same thing. So focus as much on your life outside of social media as you do as life inside. If you have a breakup with someone, make an agreement with them. Oh, hey, let's block each other on social for the next 6 months just so we can have a clean break. Stop following your ex. Stop it right now. Stop stalking. Stop creeping on them. Stop it. Because what does that do to you? Makes you feel terrible. You're like, I can't believe they moved on so fast. I don't even think that their new person is good. Like, you're not broken up. If you're broken up, and even if you don't talk to them, if you still follow them on social, you're literally, I want you to visualize it like this. You're taking a baseball bat and just bashing yourself in the face with it by doing that. So can we stop doing that?
Ouch. Yes,
Super
it's painful.
Not productive, right? And to what end? To just, it literally just, it's the gift that keeps on taking because you are allowing it to take. So let's block exes, even if they're friendly. And you can say it's just for 6 months for a clean break or whatever. And maybe it'll be forever, but that's a way of doing it sort of maturely. So you don't feel like 2 weeks in and then you block them, you feel like a jerk. And listen, if it's a bad breakup, block them immediately and don't give a crap what they think. Like just be done with that. Don't compare and despair, man. You know, comparison is the thief of joy. Now that's not my quote. I can't remember who said it, but it's a great quote because it's true. So you have to decide, how much are you going to live in real life and how much you're going to live on the constructed life on social media.
Yeah.
And we can use social media for great things. Thank God during the pandemic, we had virtual stuff. Amazing, right? That kept us together. We could go to school. People still could work. But there is a shadow to social media that you're pointing to, Cielo, that is very real and very damaging to our sense of self, our sense of worthiness, like we were just talking about. So again, this is a boundary issue where you have to take care of yourself. And if you're wondering, you're listening and you're like, I don't know where my boundaries are. I don't even know. Am I a disaster? Am I a master? What am I? Go to boundaryquiz.com. And I have a totally free 13-question quiz that will give you your boundary archetype. You could be a pushover, a peacekeeper, an ice queen. I have 7 archetypes, and that will really help anyone who's listening, who's interested in becoming better with boundaries. It'll give you a place to start.
Yes. I'm going to go and take the quiz now.
Please do.
If you're listening to the podcast episode, make sure you go. Don't be lazy. Don't be lazy, because that's what happens to a lot of people. It's like, I'll do it later. And then they never do it.
It's 13 questions. It's going to take you exactly 5 minutes. Trust me, the information you're going to get, and it's free. Who doesn't want to do it if it's free, right? Boundaryquiz.com.
Incredible. Wow. Thank you so much, Terri, for the exceptional advice. Thank you. Thank you. Truly. I wanted to ask you, what are your next projects? What are you working on right now?
Well, right now I'm still really touring with the book.
Okay.
So I'm doing mostly virtual. But if people are interested in getting the book and all of the free bonuses that come with that, they can go to boundarybossbook.com. And I'm on social media and, so Terri Cole on Instagram is where I hang out the most. But I also have a podcast.
Oh,
I just surpassed 2 million downloads on my podcast. So it's the Terri Cole Show. So there's lots of places for people to hang out with me.
Absolutely. Make sure to check it out. Before I let you go, I want to ask you my voice your story question, because we here in the podcast talk a lot about success and talk about having an abundant and meaningful life. What is your definition of success?
My definition of success is being fully liberated to be myself and bring my unique and special gifts to the world to help others.
Wow, that's so beautiful. Thank you for sharing that with us. And do you have any specific motto or mantra that you practice or you tell yourself daily?
Oh, I have a lot. I actually have a lot of affirmations that I use daily. Only good lies before me. I am divinely guided and protected. What else? I always say, everything is okay. Like it's all going to be okay. If I'm stressed out about something. I ask for divine guidance and protection if I'm feeling threatened in any way. I also love to use, I am a money magnet.
Ooh,
money comes to me. Money
that.
comes to me regularly in unexpected and surprising ways.
Oh, I love that. Wow. That's really powerful. Thank you so much. Have a beautiful rest of your day. Thank you for giving us your time.
Thanks so much for what you do, Cielo. I appreciate you.
Bye-bye. That is all for today. Thank you so much for tuning in. Don't forget to subscribe to our podcast. We have an incredible lineup of guests, so you're not going to want to miss any of our episodes. Also, connect with us on Instagram and join our Facebook group at My Voice Your Story for more tips on how to live your best life. Until next time.